ALGS might be over for season 3, but that doesn't mean that the Apex action has to stop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chargers Series 1 finale. We got Skids on one side and Oshi on the other for 3 maps of World's Edge. But wait, 3 maps of World's Edge after dark.
Yeah, we're getting that nice little mix up while we have it available to us. Because why would you not pick up some of the After Dark into your games right now? I don't know about you. I have been playing it endlessly every opportunity that I've had so far since it came out. And quite frankly, I love it. I love the just the entire dark vibe that comes with it. I find it so suiting. And honestly, it throws me all the way back to the original kind of creepy-esque aspects of the very first Halloween series that they put out in Apex.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's very nostalgic too, right? It's got the same layout as the season 3 map did. So all these original players, all these OGs are coming back into Apex for this spooky Halloween event. But we're gonna play 3 maps on the original World's Edge here first. So really interested to see what happens there. Maybe even we'll get some contests off the drop, Oshi.
Yeah, we do know that we're going to have at least one. We do have a limit of 2 contests going on just so that you at home know what to expect and what not to expect. It's not going to be all chaos off the drop like the games that you're also used to playing on this map. Not every single team is going to be landing in Fragment, but the contests that we do have are going to be interesting to watch because every single one of these teams, remember, has been invited to play in this. They have all been part of the OKC Chargers series the OKC Chargers Scrim series #1. So they were all individually invited. And we're right into shots here. Trident Boys Funky Town is the contest that I was trying to bring up. They didn't even give me time to talk about it.
Yeah, there's a list of contest weapons that I would prefer off drop. The P2020 is not exactly the top of it, but if you have a gun there as Riz gets the first drop, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, a P20 is something, right? It's better than absolutely nothing.
True.
And quite frankly, at the range he was using it at, that's basically hip fire range. You just kind of get some really nice, quick little pop-offs with it just to get that damage in and dealt. What just happened to the kill feed?
Looks like Trident Boys are actually still all up, all active. Got 1 kill so far on that. And, the contests are big because you want to be able to make your statement early, especially you're playing 3 rounds on the same map as some shots are going to come in here on Variz. But you want to be able to get that loot and claim it for a good late game rotation.
Yeah, and V-Riz, as you saw, just kind of picking and prioritizing right there. Trident Boys are trying to put some pressure down from range while picking up this loot as well. A little bit of a push coming through because V-Riz is kind of alone here, but it's a 3v2, so this is not a situation that I would enjoy being in if I was not on the side of Trident Boys, but you got to respect the fact that they're playing nice and slow. They don't want to kind of grief themselves too early. They're just making sure they give no advantage to their opponent. Nice shots coming out right there, a little break. Oh, one down though.
Yeah, you got to be careful here if you are trying to avoid that V-Riz goes down. I mean, Flix is all the way on the opposite side of the POY. There you go, Veritech able to get 1 drop here. 1 player left remaining. Flix is going to be the last alive with the fuse. He's got the knuckle clusters available. He knows that there's only 1 player, recognizes that it's Flesh. Oh, dangerous little re-peek here. Still staying alive. He does have that mother load available if he needs to get some extra damage.
Yeah, it's a very tight 1v1 situation here. Looks like he's trying to stick a res. Not the safest idea. He's probably hoping that maybe they would trade one out. Does not do it. There's the trade. Res coming out for Funky Town right now, actually. So that was a great little peek and bait moment. They do get that 1 res off, so it's a 2v1 situation. Not a lot of health on anybody as the shots come in the back from the other side. Not sure if that's actually still Trident Boys peeking up. I think it was.
Yeah, looks like it's still Flix. He's gonna try and chase after this. The Wraith coming out. Bonitone able to get that fin, and you gotta be careful here because I'm sure a team landed nearby and is gonna want to get the push in on this. Flix runs away, and running this composition, you have the skirmisher, the controller, and the assault. No ability to craft banners, so Flix is probably gonna be on his own for the duration of this game.
Yeah, Funky Town looking quite likely to be in the same situation. Bonitone has not been thirsted yet. There goes Trident Boys down, actually. TMO Flix burning out, dying to the lava. That is absolute panic mode and not what you want to see.
Yeah, and I think we actually have another team here as Smiley has started to rotate into launch site. And now with this ring showing, it's going to be pulling south into launch site. These players that do have the controller legends scanning the beacons, figuring out that information. Everyone here has been playing the zone guessing game and wondering where it's going to go. You get a little bit of predictions. Cheek tries to craft, does not end up working out for him. And with so many catalysts in the meta, you want to claim your building as early as you can.
Yeah, and let me tell you what, Smiley is one of the teams that I'm looking at, not just because of the composition that they run, which is clearly exceptionally meta, but they have been one of the most consistent teams that we have had in all of the OKC Chargers events thus far. As we hop over to one of the funniest team names that we have in this event, Three Silly Men, who consists of a player name I'm not going to say, Carter and Goat on their teams. As you can see, the guy's name in-game on the Bangalore there is Frickers. That is not what he has himself registered as, by the way.
Hey, you know, we're gonna put the tournament appropriate name here as they're coming on over, and you know, Silly Little Men trying to see where exactly they dropped. I believe they probably went Dome. It looked like a team did go there, so they rotated in. Smiley rotated in from Siphon, and now again it's all about just getting this set up. Not a whole lot of loot to work with. We do have the Trip Blues from the Silly Little Men, and if they can get in and take this building from Smiley, it's soft contest coming in before round one closes. Actually, no, sorry, Smiley's on the north side of this POI, so they may be able to get this for free.
Yeah, they hopefully can just walk right into that for sure. Although, as you were mentioning, ALGS having just finished, we did see several times where you have teams just kind of both hold the same building, kind of split it down the middle, and almost have a little draw. Just you know what, here's the line in the sand, you hold your side, we'll hold ours, and they don't really bother each other too much. As a nice little headshot from Cruisin comes in to get that crack off, just a little more damage for him to get up to the purple. As you can see, he's just sitting at 90 more. As he picks up, oh no, he did not pick up that purple mag, left it for his teammate. What a nice guy. Why don't I get teammates like that?
Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, that's these guys are a little bit better than I am, so we're gonna let them and trust them with their decision making here. And you've seen a lot so far. The Catalyst and the Horizon, the main two legends. Actually, Bangalore getting thrown in there as well. Top 3 picked legends in the most recent ALGS series. They seem to be the meta that people have been running around with.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the side of Victory Head, we only have one of those 3 legends, really. We've got a Wraith and a Rampart being the other 2 on the side here, as they are under extreme pressure. They were trying to make a balloon rotate, and I think they lost one in the air even. Nearly lost another on the landing, and now PGI Demon King, you can see very low. Zonked Yoshi not able to follow them on the balloon, actually having to run all the way up themselves, but amazingly in better health than the one that managed to fly away.
Yeah, they aren't going to be able to get that banner from the Rampart. Could be key in the late game, setting up those barriers, especially with that Rampart buff that came in yesterday with this halfway season 18 update, deploying at 2 seconds instead of the slower 3 seconds.
Yeah, as a former Rampart main, I'm not anymore. I grew as a person. That extra second is actually incredible. And the other nice thing that they put in, just kind of a quality of life update, is once you place a wall, you can just keep placing walls. You don't have to press the Q an additional time, or I don't know what you use on controller. I don't mess with controller.
Hey, that's a conversation for a different day here. But we did get a little bit sneak peek here on the ring, but we'll talk about that after this fight. 3 Silly Little Men are in this fight right now. Leahy gets dropped. Rapping goes down as well. So 3 Silly Men in a 2v1 situation, it looks like. I'm not sure if they decided to go up for the test and take the building, but now it looks like Rondon Streams is not going to pick that one up. Real Cheek with the sliver of health grabs one. Now You Smell Steven has to try and clutch this up in the 1v1 with low health before he gets the res here with a little bit of background noise to help him out.
Yeah, we're talking briefly about the changes that happened to Legends in this last patch. You just saw right there one of the biggest changes that people have been asking for. On the Horizon herself, you can no longer just sit up at the top of that grav lift. You only have a half-second duration you can sit up there for. What a risky res! Pulling that right off, bringing Frickers back immediately. I didn't actually think that they had fully wiped the team. that they were fighting, but I guess
No,
they
they
must
didn't.
have.
I don't think they did. I think they only got 2 kills out of it. But the rat is running around, and when you got 2 teammates up in full health like that, it's let the one person watch for the res, and the other person goes and sticks it. Because now Frickers can get his death box back. Catalyst can reinforce these doors, and you're going to be on good reset here. But we did see the zone start to pull a little bit north towards Tree and towards Siphon. There is a beacon in the launch site here that teams could stand again, but I don't think that's going to happen as Real Cheek is still alive here. The rat fuse, and I think there's another rat floating around from that.
Oh no! Not what you want to see.
No, my goodness. I mean, Fuse got his heirloom. A lot more people playing him now, but you still got to know that you can't call in the mother load under a bridge like that.
Yeah, it has a nice vertical clearance requirement that if you're not careful about, well, you just saw firsthand what is going to happen to you. As we flip over to our host team, the OKC Chargers, you can see them sitting over here. 2 of them pretty on the colorful shields, one of them with a near cracked paper towel on their shoulders. Not something you want to have going on, but you take a look, a lot of ammo in that longbow, probably a decent amount in the car as well, because they are playing Loba. Only 90 damage away, 2 longbow shots to the body, you'll do it. And I can expect them to be blues into purples pretty soon, as they are sitting in quite a nice spot in the ring themselves. And we have, you know, that they actually have that insider info on where the ring is as well, knowing that they are dead center.
Yeah, this is a nice spot for that team. Loba started to fall out of the meta a little bit, but teams still playing her, especially on World Dance, could be key as we're switching on over back to Victory Hand, who gets spotted out by that Bloodhound. We stopped seeing as much here, and we started seeing some more Bloodhound. Spots them. The rats are running around right into the hands of 3 silly men, and that 30-30 with the Skull Piercer can really prove to be deadly here.
Yeah, you talked about it when 3 Silly Men first showed interest in this spot, how important it is to get in early and get it locked down with your catalyst. 3 Silly Men showing exactly what you were talking about there, in perfect position to pick up the little extra KP. They've got themselves in a good zone area for now, and quite frankly, their rotate is going to be relatively uncontested until they get to the buildings on the other side of that hallway.
Yeah, this tunnel is going to be interesting. You could hold T-Max back there for a little bit longer in the storm, or in the ring rather, but you do have this building up next to Tree that you have to hope is uncontested. You don't have any intel if someone's there, and if I had to guess, there's got to be someone posted up in that building there by Tree.
And that's one of the funny things about our situation and having the observers that we do. We know there's people in there. We know that 3 Silly Men are walking into what is essentially a hallway of doom if somebody decides to come behind them. So they really have to try and flush out this team or pick a different direction. So far, no good. They have taken a significant amount of damage. The triple take in the hands of Shoya doing work to them, as well as Flicks. I mean, what do you even want to do here?
You have to figure something out quick. Intensity has the power position, and now you're going to have T-Nex and Smiley pushing back through that tunnel from launch site into Tree. So you got to hope that Smiley and T-Nex can buy some time here, but we are going to see the evac tower added into this game back in season 17, giving that extra rotate. You don't have to have the Valk to get away, but there is a lot of danger here flying over Tree, looking for that high ground. Doesn't look entirely safe, so we're going to drop in on the van, maybe barricade just enough to get a rotate, but that still leaves T-Nex and Smiley fighting in launch site for the sliver of zone and possibly the rotate.
Yeah, we knew Smiley was in there very early. Unfortunately, we actually see one of 3 Silly Men go down, and his teammates left in unfortunate situations as well. One of them sitting in zone for the moment as Skyline V2 poke their heads up from under the bridge and pick up one. Actually, we just saw some kills coming up from Smiley as well. Tenax, TNX are eliminated in their attempts to force Smiley out of that power position. I said you gotta watch out for them. You said they got in there early, and that was unquestionably a great hold by them as Skyline getting shot at from all sides. We thought they had the upper hand poking out from the bridge here. It was not the case. One person left, no health on them. There goes Skyline, taken out by 3 Silly Men, who we thought, again, were underhanded in that fight. Now they're underhanded in the next one.
Yeah, with 13 squads still alive, a minute left before Zone 4 is going to close. there's so many different angles that you have to take into consideration. That's why the Bangalore comes into play. There's smoke coming down for a res, and Crimson Lotus is just not inside of the ring here. I don't think there's going to be a corner of the building that they're safe, so they have to look to play these rocks for protection at the very last second of exit, checking all sorts of corners, all angles, and now they're getting shot at from that west side, looking for a rotate, but it may be too early because Zone 4 hasn't started to close yet.
And of course, we finally switch over to one of the biggest teams for us to pay attention to, Regiment, right here. And they have the god spot for this current zone sitting up on this bridge. They have all of the cover they could possibly need. They have the high ground. They've clearly got loot that they're considering picking up or leaving if they don't want it just yet. What an incredible place to be holding with this many teams left and this far into the zone. Look at all of the shots and explosions that they can just sit and look at without concern, putting fire back and forth as they choose. And just, I mean, how happy would you be here?
I mean, if I was just posted up on this bridge right here, that seems to be the best spot. But they don't care. Regiment's going to swing on down and force a fight underneath in the tunnel out here outside of Siphon. At least try to put in some shots, and that's why you love that Horizon to be your aggressive player. She has that get out of jail free card. If it doesn't work, toss down the gravity lift and swing right back on up. Meet up with the Fusion Catalyst. As Smiley still alive somehow in the middle of the open. Catalyst Walls proving to be effective in the shots in one knock available. This team is getting destroyed by the ring. Smiley ending up taking them out and somehow keep all three players alive.
Yeah, we saw multiple teams end up going down just there. I believe it was ITK. We saw Big Safe, again, one of the funniest team names that there is. We even saw our host CRG going down in that fight as Smiley with a wonderful position between all of these rocks here. They're just kind of tucked off in a corner. Lots of cover. Don't have the high ground that we were talking about on the side of Regiment, but I mean, they're basically untouched over there. They have cleaned out everybody that was behind them. They cleaned out half the teams that were in front of them during that rotate even. So again, they're probably going to be very happy, and I would not be too surprised to see a good, strong pincer between Regiment and Smiley in terms of our last two teams.
Yeah, if we could get a look at the map here just to see how powerful Regiment's position is, they don't have to drop until the very end. And you see that one team in the van. Look at all that has to go down on that east side. 2, 3, 4, 7 teams going to be fighting to rotate in on the east side, dropping from undercover. And we're going to start here with Alt throwing in that black hole to stop this team from pushing outside of the van. They don't couple it with grenades necessarily, but it gives them the chance to heal. And Majid going to shoot down those tactical spikes from Catalyst, who has quite a lot of health for being a tactical. He plays 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. You have to put so many mags of ammo in there just to take it down, depending on the gun that you're using. This is a long rotate for them to be making. We knew that Regiment was up high. It looks like they probably already made their way off of that bridge because there's no shots coming over. There's a lot of damage onto Imagine right there. That's going to be a big push. That is one knock down on Alt's side. Unfortunate for them. Looking to get into the low ground here now, but we know that's challenged as well. Now they're going to head over towards the truck that was also already being held by somebody. There is no safe place to be sitting right now. Control goes. Not much left on his life bar as Zone comes in. Pop the battery to save you from the bullets, but it's not going to save you from the red hot as you get contested out of truck. Meet me, last one alive.
Yeah, Regiment was able to take that truck, and now they're swinging out to take down Alt. They have one less team to worry about, and Regiment has a free rotate back into the truck. The top position from start to finish here in Zone 5. Now, they just have so many people to pick off and grab this KP in the end game with this ALGS style scoring. This KP is going to be huge throughout these 6 games. You're on a heater right now. You're pushing everyone. You already got a knock. You got the Bangalore there. No damage taken from anybody. Top 3 squads, and you have the black hole. And I believe I saw Motherload was also available. So we're just going rat hunting at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look at it because we have the advantage. 3 squads, 8 players left. We know Regiment's a full 3. The last time we saw Smiley, they were, it's a dream. Oh, it's Fish of Thoro. Oh, no. Crimson Lotus taken out by Fuse and only Fuse. That, I mean, you've sat in firing range. You've wanted to do that before.
Oh, Castellos with some of the easiest picks he's gonna have is Fuse. And here come the ultimate. Swiftness RG coming in with the black hole. Castellos with the mother load, with the grenades coming in. And this is Regiment just pinching on in. The high ground here from Swiftness is gonna get the first knock. And a trade with the Kraber that could prove to be something isn't gonna be enough. No shields for Regiment, one player left alive on that Wattson gem, but it doesn't matter. The Kraber's not enough to hold off Regiment, and they are gonna be your game one champions. I'm interested to see how much KP they got, because they were frying at the end.
I gotta put at least 7, maybe 12 as my guess, right, for their KP, because that was disgusting.
Absolutely.
That was an absolute roll. As soon as we tuned over to them on top, like sitting up on that bridge, my goodness, were they ever on top of absolutely everybody from that point forwards. They steamrolled their way downwards, like you were talking about. They managed to take they managed to take out the team that was inside of the van there. And then we just got to watch. I mean, that must be what an ALGS team feels like when they play pubs that I'm in. Because
Hey, if I see that triple bread come up on the banner, that's what I expect to happen to me.
oh, I literally died to TSM Hal yesterday in pubs.
Hey, that's that SBMM that's coming your way. But as we take a look at this scoreboard here, Regiment with 11 coming in first, but Smiley still was able to grab 10 KP coming out in 5th place, and they had a very difficult route. They tried to come down from Siphon into launch site to contest, and they got a couple of exit KP from there, but to stay alive as long as they did into the top 5, you know, they have that east side platform that they tried to work off of for as long as they did, but unfortunately it didn't end up working out in the long run. Still 5th place with 10 KP. That's a heck of a score line.
Yeah, there's nothing to not be proud about in that regard. Kind of harkens back to the Furia days, right? Where they were just aggressive all the way through. And you're like,
Yep.
oh yeah, they only came 5th. And you're like, wait, they had the same amount of KP as the team that won.
Oh
So
yeah, sometimes more.
that's normally more in the Furious
Yep.
sense. But you know, they're as close as we've got in that game number 1 as we are loading into game number 2 very quickly here. So we're gonna get again the Legends selection in just a moment for you all. And I don't know, do you expect to see anything different? The contest we saw
Mhm.
it didn't go one way decisively until after somebody else showed up.
Yeah, it was weird because a rat was able to get away on the contest, and then it turned out there were about 2 or 3 rats hanging around launch site for the longest time until about ring 3 closed.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch this contest here at launch site and see what happens. But worth noting that Regiment came all the way from Sky East and
Mhm.
came south and south all the way down into Tree for that end zone. So if they get a better pull, what's to say that they can't be stopped here in this next game as well?
The big thing is not only did they come that far, but they came that far and held major power positions every single step of the way and converted that into KP as well, right?
Yep.
You don't rotate from one end of the map to the other and pick up 10 kills by being passive and playing edge of zone, right? They were in everybody's faces. They were putting the damage down. By the time we tuned into them, they all had purple shields as well. So it wasn't a walk in the park for them by any means, crossing the entire map. They made the absolute most of it all the way through. So I agree. I'm very interested to see if they can pull something like that off again. And more to the point, where is the zone going to pull for them in order to pull something like that off?
You know, you can only get as lucky as you want to be with the zones, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to put up with whatever teams end up pushing you. So we are back on the board here with the Trident boys in the contest against Funky Town for launch site. The P2020 ended up being that power gun first, but we've upgraded to the R3 and a Volt. Some people would say this is already your loadout, so if you grab these guns off rip, you're pushing as quick as you can to try and get a pick, as Verotech already looking to put down shots. And you know, I want to say, OG, saw that from far. We're getting up close now with the second, and there is crispy on those first 2 knocks.
Crispy is what the enemy team is at this point. He roasted them with those guns. That was absolutely disgusting. Just smoked through and through and through. You know, got down to some low HP, but I mean, that is RNG playing right into your hands. He had 2 SMGs, or I guess an assault rifle technically, and an SMG. I have a hard time calling the R301 an assault rifle with the way that it fires, but I mean, absolute insanity on his side there. And Bony Tony, last one alive for Funky Town. I mean, he's got the wingman in his hands. A couple of headshots on white armor, definitely not something to shy away from. But I do not want to be in his position.
Yeah, this is not exactly the legend that you want to have in your solo queue because this raid doesn't really help you out in this 1v3 battle. And you also got to be careful of teams pushing in. We highlighted it last time, but you got teams in Dome and Siphon and Tree that could all pinch in, but they haven't in the first game.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't expect them to. I'm taking a look at the zone right now, and everybody's got to go north. Bony Tony,
okay.
You pick up, but not able to close out the rest of them. I mean, that was
There
a
it
nice, clean shots on that grab lift, right? Very clean.
I mean, that was very pretty there from Tony. I mean, I thought they were going to turn a 3v1 into 3 different 1v1s and then give Tony a little bit of an advantage. But ultimately, Trident boys win the POI, win launch site yet again. And I wanted to talk about playing Fuse on this opening drop because you can pop the knuckle clusters from far away and play a separate angle than the rest of your team is.
Yeah, so I know my boy Ash is waiting for us to talk about Fuse because he always is. He is the biggest Fuse fanboy you'll ever hear, right? Winks getting taken down off of the zip line up to the balloon.
We got some
there.
action over here.
That's not what you want to see, and that means people are close enough to come. And speaking of Fuse, the mortar flare going to completely expose them as they try and get this res off. I mean, Jasmine's going to have to do a lot of cover here to keep them safe as more and more grenades coming from Allied over the top of this building. They're climbing up, no fear of the fire because it is their own, and Chargers gone and gone again. I mean, that's the power of Fuse. That's what I was kind of getting around to talking about, is not only does he give you that long range harass with the Q, but you have those eyes, like that extra vision that you get on enemies that are standing within your ult. And more importantly, you brought up the importance of Catalyst on your team and being able to lock those buildings down. To your other point of being able to use that Q from such a long distance, goodbye doors. Goodbye anything Catalyst decides to put up to stop you from getting to it.
Yeah, Fuse is an excellent counter for this Catalyst meta. I still want a Fuse up cluster to take out a Toxic Spike, but that's a conversation for a different day as we do get some more action coming in Lava Fisher. We had Intensity Esports land over here. Looks like ITK has made their way over from staging and gotten a quick drop. There is a crafter over here and a ring console as well, with that ring taking that center north side. This could be really solid if ITK can win this POI.
This is one of my personal favorite locations, not just to hold overall, but to fight, just because of the multi-levels that you can have in it, being able to push somebody on the high, on the ground, as well as on kind of that middle level bridge all at the same time. It's a lot of fun, and I love ending zones as a commentator just because of the chaos that reigns as we tune into Safari Legion, who are amidst their own chaos reigning down on their heads as they are about to get eliminated. Wrapping last one alive, wins that 1v1, trying to get the bat off as he takes shots from everywhere. No. Nuh-uh.
There it is. That's the get out of jail free card that we always talk about with Horizon. And even if you take off the 2 seconds and put half a second on the top of that grab lift, you're still going to be able to fling on out. And that knock was just enough to get Wrapping away. Maybe you can get the banners in a good spot to recover later, but at the end of the day, you just got to play for some placements in this situation.
Yeah, I think we've just got one more opportunity for one more rat in one more series. That's kind of the story of Apex Legends these days, as if one person gets out, sit in a corner, right? It's kind of all you can do. We'll see how long Wrapping can hold it down for his team. There is a mobile res beacon right there, but this zone moves fast and hits hard compared to what it used to, so I don't think he's going back for those.
We're going to have to follow along with that as the zone, you see the second zone pulling again to that north side. So we have a couple teams that are already set up in survey. We got some Epicenter, sorry. And
Epic Centers.
Yeah, it's the Epic. I think this is going to be the one that ends on the train tracks. And if you can get to those cars and set up pretty soon, it'll be important, but you also got to be careful that you don't get pushed.
Yeah, let's see how right you are about where it's going to pull. Zone just finishing closing. No, deep north. Yeah, you are correct. It's very close to Epicenter, actually. You're right. And we do have a team sitting in the high ground up there. You can see Zonkyoshi on your screen right in the midst of Epicenter, but it's actually going even further north than that. It's going all the way up to Surveillance, or sorry, Survey Beacon. So I don't
I'm
know.
telling you, I'm putting my prediction in now. The zone is ending at the train.
Let me tell you.
Put that prediction in.
Anybody out here, anybody looking for an analyst, I mean, this man knows his own pulls.
call me Raven the way I be coaching out here.
You got too much hair for that.
That's fair, but and a lot less championships. as Regiment's gonna fly on in here on the evac towers and claim a little snowmobile out here on the north side. I love these fuses. I love being able to pop knuckle clusters without wasting any sort of inventory spots and keeping teams at bay with your tactical ability, as Big Steak and Rapid see another team flying in above them. I believe that's going to be Skyline that's trying to take a northbound approach past Thriller.
It is indeed, and they're going to be sitting up there having a good time as a lot of bullets are flying over their head from all over the place. As we see Regiment contested on the other side as well. They thought they had all kinds of space when they first got here, but they weren't able to keep the lock down. Crummy looking for a push in, though. I think they want to take this fight clear up behind them.
Yeah, swinging on into the fences. The Motherload goes down, but does not trap anyone inside. Talk about how strong that recon can be on it. As Crummy swinging around with that Nemesis, grabs one and gets sprayed out on the backside. No, Crummy's still alive. 1-1 trade does go down. It tries to stick the res, but a different Motherload. The little taste of your own medicine, as Caseos is gonna be the last alive here in a 1v1 situation. Opponent Fuse trying to put in the knuckle clusters, but it's gonna end up missing. And the shot's coming through the Dark Veil. You gotta try and make a move around here.
Yeah, that was my man Millie coming in from a distance to pick up that re-knock right there as TNX dies to a fall from somewhere. I don't even know how that would happen at this point. Oh, they're over at Overlook. Not sure what happened there, but that's not the way that you want to see your team go down. That's for certain. As Regiment just clawing tooth and nail to try and stay alive. A Phoenix kick coming out from Castelos here. Luckily for Crummy, he's got that gold armor, so he can just kind of heal himself up quick if he gets the opportunity to, which he doesn't really seem to. Back down to one shot, goes down, trades a knockout from his teammate as we see the black hole coming in as well. Castelos taking fire from all sides. There's so many teams involved here. Now he says, forget about it. I'm playing placement. This is the opposite of the Regiment we saw last game.
Yeah, I mean, Regiment was able to get 1 or 2 revives to try and reset there, but Allied coming in and bringing the heat. You also saw a crypto drone coming in from the north side here as Allied just takes this for themselves. And that's part of the danger, Oshi, about rotating early. You know, you have that prime spot. You know it's the best spot, but so do the other 19 teams, right? They want to take you off of that, maybe grab some KP on the way. And as soon as shots go down, once you get into the zones 2, 3, and 4, it's not going to be a 1v1 for very long.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons I don't really like those little trucks that Regiment just decided to put themselves on. They kind of centered themselves there, and like I was saying, they wanted to hold that entire northern area, spread themselves too thin, and other teams were able to land in and pressure them. As Stick Drift, in quite an interesting situation, taking advantage of that extra little side opening that this tunnel has now, so they're not actually trapped by zone, able to put some shots down this railway and really put some pressure on the other teams trying to hold the bridge, hold a little bit of high ground here. Interested to see, they're gonna have to use that side tunnel, and that's not gonna be fun because they're gonna be running right towards all of the other teams that we just saw fighting.
Yeah, they think they see a rat poking around in here, but I'm not entirely sure who that's gonna be next to him. As Beers and Beans gets dropped, they were the last rat in that original fight with Trident, Alliance, not Trident, sorry, but with Alliance over there. And now, Stick Drift, you talk about the rotation that they had to have coming east out of this cut. If anyone's going to be looking at the cut, it's going to be dangerous, but if they get it for free, they can hop between the buildings and they don't even need an evac tower, and hopefully they can go on to the catwalk.
Yeah, they're actually opting to go out down that railway, headed south instead of the due east that we thought they were. Getting some good shots in as they're chasing teams down this hill. I mean, I like the composition that they have for the path that they've taken here, right? They've got the bang to smoke them out so that they can keep themselves safe during the rotates. They've got the Bloodhound on their side to get those scans. It's how they knew the enemy team had already begun to rotate, so they were safe to push out. They're going to know exactly who's in this building and where they are. And then they've got the catalyst to lock down when they do eventually decide to hold a position. So not a bad decision all in all for them.
That's just another ALGS meta coming in. That Bang Bloodhound combo is absolutely brilliant. So now we're rotating into the zone 3 closing, and we're still going north. Keep in mind, keep those trains in mind. Oh, keep them in mind as we're coming on up. Hunter's gonna be able to clear some area on this next peak here, with Stickdrift putting in shots to try and keep everyone at bay. 13 squads still alive, and Stickdrift finds some competition on the north side.
Yeah, we knew that there was teams up there. They finally learned the hard way, losing the shields off of Hunter there. But, I mean, Arzola putting the fire right back down, just kind of saying, forget about it, I'll cover you while you heal. As that Rolling Thunder comes across their heads, they're going to have to keep themselves low for a moment as that goes away. No push following it up, so I guess that was just kind of a threat, just kind of saying, no, we don't want you coming behind us. I think there's some fights going on up in that northern area. They're trying to get some look in at it. No, there just wasn't many bullets flying at all. I was mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I hope my ranked teammates are listening here. If you put in damage on someone, you don't always have to push them across the open field. That's why these teams are at the top of their game. Being able to put some suppressing shots, make sure they don't end up pushing. As now Casellas is being the best fuse that he can. Is this a third party, or is he just pestering the Newcastle at the top there?
Both. Basically, both. There was a fight going on, and he was firing knuckle clusters into it, just being a pain. And then they kind of broke off and decided to chill out. And he said, "No, I still see you," and kept putting more shots in. I mean, this man is ratting. He's ratting, and he put in more damage than we've seen half these teams.
Well, Casellas is a rat, but also he was putting in shots on Tnax, who's ratting. I mean, they've been able to stay alive, because that's going to be Blake FPS that was ratting, and he may have ended up saving him. As now there's a rotate coming in away from Climatizer. Bink's Sake is trying to get a dink with the Kraber, and he's going to be putting in the knuckle clusters as well. We saw the Kraber, man, I cannot get over that moist, that MT 360 Kraber scope. Every time I see one, and every time we're playing on this north side of World's Edge, it's just about that.
The fact that he hit it on land, like, dude. But you know what? That is pinnacle Moist Esports. If y'all aren't familiar with them, go look up Moist Esports. That is 100% every single person that they've assigned to that team. That is the kind of vibe and energy that they bring. I love it. I knew Moist Esports from my days in Super Smash Brothers and the people that they sponsored in that. And same thing. Same energy, same vibe, same people. It's amazing.
Look at Victory Hand giving that 1-3 KP to Big Sig on that respawn. And you also have rotating. Still got Blake FPS that's going to be rotating in behind Bing. Now Trident in a really solid spot here on that outside of Climatizer. And this zone just keeps pulling north. It's going to be tough to try and rotate up a while as intensity goes down. ITK, Crimson Lotus, we drop 4 teams in an instant, and now Trident boys may go down as well as Virus and Verotech coming all the way from launch site past the fight for their life with Climatizer with who else but Smiley.
Yeah, I mean, Smiley put themselves up on this second and third floor. They're holding it down tight. We saw teams try and get in there. There's 3 or 4 teams up there. That is a kill, by the way, for Castelos on Kraken right there. So picking up extra KP while alone, 1,800 damage, 2 kills, while still alive, and he's still putting shots in. He's gonna pick up, almost picked up another one as the knuckle cluster goes out. He is 1v3ing this team, finally taken out by Kraken's Kraber. I thought he killed Kraken.
He got 2 knocks, but they may have gotten the res. Unfortunately, though, for Bink's sake, here comes a Chow right around the corner, and they get dropped now by Trident boys, who was able to slip away from that Climatizer building and get a little bit of a reset here. Grabbing 2 KP, grabbing some more heals and loot. This Gonna be a tough rotate. 87% on that Catalyst Dark Veil. They aren't gonna have it for the start of the rotate, but maybe they'll have it towards the end. And Allied is sitting pretty with that G7 in the hands of Funky. So many players gonna have to rotate through this open field. It's getting the crack on one, a second crack on another, and a black hole to top it all off.
Yeah, this is a buffet on a plate in front of them here. They've got KP to pick up. They have the power position. They just see everybody coming at them. There's one knock for Funty on Gambit. Smiley now short one person. You can hear the footsteps next to him, so he doesn't want to go too far. Teammates coming over to him out there. He's got eyes on another one. That Black Veil unfortunately interrupting. He's so concerned about the team next to him, as he should be. As shots come in, Funty almost down. Here comes Hey, having to rotate all the way back. Funty does eventually hit the dirt. Kept high and safe, though, as Alt goes down strictly to Stellary. That was a 2v2, despite Allied having a third player. This was not required. Now they're going to thirst this one, just trying to get that knock shield down. Instead, ultimately up into the air. No, actually manages to get behind that Dark Veil. Stays alive a little longer, as Allied, again, in a wonderful position here. Trident Boys finally gone down. And goodbye, Smiley.
Yeah, Smiley's going to be dropped as well, and Southern Draw is going to be the last team alive. First time that we've heard from them in this round. Allied with at least 10 KP, swinging around, getting the first 2 knocks, and that is all she wrote. Allied going to be your game 2 champion with at least 13 KP, what I counted, but just the brilliance of being able to hold off both Dark Veils, both pushes, the patience to wait for the enemies to come around the corner and walk into that power position. We had been looking at that spot the entirety of the zone. Basically, as soon as Zone 2 started, teams were fighting for those crates, and Allied able to be the last man standing there and win off of those crates.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they really did what Regiment was trying to do on that first rotate, right? They held that upper area, they locked it down, they spread themselves out without going too thin, which is what the ultimate folly of Regiment was, which put them down to the one character that they had left. And instead, we see Allied coming out like you predicted, just over 13, actually sitting at 14
Right there.
KP in the end. Southern Draw, you called. First time we'd see them that match. That's correct, because they only had the one kill, but pulling all the way through to second place. And again, Smiley bumping themselves up a little bit in placement, getting up to third with 9 kills. Trident Boys, though, that 10 kill fourth place, that's going to send them upwards through the ranks without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, the 14 in the first spot, the 10 for Trident Boys in the 4. Regiment only picking up 2 that game and in the 7th place. So this is going to be a very tight overall standings here. Allied and just frying out. I just look at all the catalysts there. I think every single team, no, only 2 teams are not running a catalyst. You can see how powerful she is in the end game. You have the Dark Veil for not a free, but an easier rotate. You have the reinforced doors, and you have the toxic spikes that can really prevent teams from pushing out into any closed or open environments.
Yeah, on top of that, though, yeah, you want to talk about legends for a moment. Look at 1 fuse, 2 fuse, 3, 4, 5, like fuse is everywhere because Catalyst is everywhere. We talked about how strong of a counter just that tactical is to everything that Catalyst brings. And then you sprinkle in your comfort pick, right? So many people are still going and playing that Horizon, which I can't blame you. She's still a decent legend. She's nowhere near the powerhouse that she was, but I love the Bloodhound coming in to complement. I think it's such a strong legend right now because it gives you, as you mentioned, all of those things that Seer used to give you, but better than Seer could give you now.
Yeah, and we saw actually that Horizon Q kind of coming into effect there as Steel gets knocked going up the gravity lift. He
Hmm.
threw the gravity lift to try and get out and heal, right? But got knocked, and the gravity lift's momentum still took him back to where hey was able to grab the revive. And they didn't necessarily need all 3 in that last fight, but it was still nice to have as they were swinging on the outside on Southern Draw there. So the ability to transport yourself, I mean, even if you're lucky enough to win your down, Horizon is just unmatched.
Yeah, exactly. It's so strong. Okay, I will debate the unmatched simply because Wraith exists. All right, Wraith Portal is definitely very, very strong for getting you out of sticky situations when you're down. But yes, in that regard, very strong and slightly more utility than Wraith because you can go upwards, which is pretty important in Apex Legends.
Yeah.
I've found personally, anyways. As we get into this match number 3, that is a north-south flight again. This is almost the exact same path that we had last time. So we're gonna get to see just how everybody spreads out.
And I think worth noting, Allied at Climatize are able to hold that entire time. Really no contest coming in from Survey on the north side for Big Sig. They were able to stay pretty late in the game. But we also saw teams like Smiley, like Trident Boys rotate all the way from the south side to the north. What was interesting to me, Oshi, was Smiley and Trident Boys were basically on each other that entire game. I didn't get to call it out there, but at Climatizer in the end game, they were top and bottom right on each other trying to stay alive. So gonna be excited to see how they rotate out of this. But maybe Funky Town wins this contest at launch site.
Yeah, honestly, I would like to see Funky Town at least make it out of launch site this time because I want to see what they can bring a little later in the games. We just haven't had the opportunity to experience that yet. And Trident Boys are not looking to let that happen. They are going to get in with all of the force that they can regularly bring. Remember, last time we saw a 1v2 play out very, very clearly into the hands of Trident Boys. Funky Town probably going to be a little more patient this time around. They don't want to go down to the big spray like they did before.
Yeah, the RNG on the weaponry for Trident Boys was definitely in their favor last time, and I saw a PK and flatline this time as well. So we're gonna see if Funky Town can bring the heat. They played a little bit more passive last time. Can they swing on in? Got a smoke coming in on the right side. Some bolt shots going in from Boney Tony, who was able to stay alive the most in that
Look at the rat. Look at the sneak.
Oh, he's right there. He's right there. Comes out to pounce, but does not get the knock on Boney. Tony now gets dropped as he swings out. The V-Riz overextending just a bit too much for Crunchcan to get that trade, and the res coming out.
That was a cute little use of the kind of 3-peek that you can get right there. As they stuck the res and saw the fuse coming, unable to really do much about it. Remember, last one alive on the side of Funky Town. Once again, just not able to really close this out. They had a good situation. They almost got the res off as well, but instead, that is the res back up as well. This is a 3v1 Funky Town eliminated by Cruisin'.
And now
From
Smiley, yeah, Smiley's coming in, and they're going to be pouncing from this north side as well. We talked about it the last 2 games where Smiley didn't come down from Lava Siphon into the push, and we also see Safari Legion coming in from Tree on the pitch. With this zone pulling to the south side, this makes this third party and this extra contest that much more worth it.
Yeah, it also means that our game 1 winners are going to have to make that same north to south rotation all the way that we saw them very successful with the first time around. If we could pull up the map for 1 quick second, I want to draw some attention to CRG on the east side here. You can see them. They've just hit that balloon from Overlook. Nobody landed Geyser, so they're going to have that entire POI to go through unless they get contested. And then they're just going to be able to hold that and again slow rotate into Big Mod should they choose to go that path. Us having the upper hand of seeing the next ring, of course, know that that is a good option and that they're really not going to have too much contest until they get down towards Stacks there and then Dome. But that is if they choose that side. I mean, that entire east side is going to be fairly uncontested if they choose to hold it.
Oh, there is that beacon in Big Mod if they choose to go down that way. So after the zone closes, they can grab it again and see how far south this is actually going to pull. Smiley was able to grab a brilliant spot here on this north side of launch site. There's a lot of places you could get pinched in this building, right? You can get from either side through the big draw doors. You can get pushed from the south side or even the north side. So you got to be careful. You got to claim space. And Smiley's gunnies are doing a good job of that. Cruisin' is putting down cover fire shots so that people are scared to run across that open field. You're going to have
Yeah.
some fuse. You're going to have some knuckle clusters pop. You're going to have some nades tossed in that might be able to help you. But now we got 3 silly men who's coming into the even more north side of launch site, and we're going to get some action.
Without question, going to be some action here. 3 silly men looking like 3 aggressive dudes at the moment. They smell blood in the water and want every fight they can. Even dropping to the low ground, but that Prowler in hand. Strongest gun in the game at the moment. Managing to pick up some knocks as they lose one of their own very early, though. You can see You Smell Steven just kind of hanging out in the top with that wingman, trying to get a bat off as Frickers goes in for that last push. Can they clean it up? Eventually, Southern Draw goes down, but they did lose their man on the back who was knocked. Frickers, 1 HP at the end of that as well, dropping some smoke down. They get the banner, but not sure if they're going to be able to find any location to get their res off, as this building is very much occupied.
I was going to say 1 HP is all you need, but then Frickers does get dropped on that exit. And we see our first little Wraith portal play as Winx in on in. You have the ability to drop in and out of the fight as much as you want. The finish coming in here, so Frickers gets dropped, and look at all these loot boxes. You're going to be able to get better shield. Swinging in there with a napkin, now you get at least blues for the rest of your squad. And the Wraith can drop back as soon as she wants because the teammates are still holding that cut just outside of that stacks tunnel. But it's a dangerous spot. You can't be out there for too long as Jasmine just makes it in those catalysts and 4 stores.
And that right there is the Wraith power, not only taking the portal back, as you mentioned safely. The portal didn't even go all the way back, but then you just pop the Q and run the rest of the way instead. Safe and sound, home with the friends, as now we get back to Smiley, once again holding this same building down that we saw in game number 1. They definitely feel at home here. We saw them take out, I think, 2 full teams, tried to push them in game number 1, and they were just more than happy with it. A little bit of KP on their side as well. As Cruisin', he knows that there's people down there. He just can't see them at all.
And the 3030, the gun that was added to the crafter here in this mid-season update. Haven't seen a whole lot of it, but one of the more powerful assault or battle rifles, long-range rifles that there are. You couple that with an SMG, and in these mid-game extensions, you can get armor upgrades. You may be able to get a pick, or you could thirst someone that's trying, or that does get dropped coming across the field. So there's KP to be had, and again, I'll harp on it time and time again, keeping a team from pushing and punishing them when they go in the open.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to put pressure down, like you mentioned, Cruisin' was doing on the side of Smiley, just putting those shots out so that people know where you are. Sometimes that's more worth it than thinking people don't know where you are, just because then they go, okay, we're going to stay away from that building. We don't want anything to do with those guys who just keep shooting at us every single time we try to move anywhere, as we see that ult coming out of the crypto right there, doing some shield damage, actually only doing shield damage to wrapping. I wanted to say wrapping because it's 2 Vs. Completely threw me for a loop there. But yeah, just a little bit of shield damage there. Some level up on the shields probably over for the crypto. One of the greatest reasons to use that ultimate in that situation. You know, when you're not planning on pushing, you just kind of pick up some damage. As Stick Drift, loot boxes galore for them, as we have the kill leader title going over to Seastorm, as they have shots coming from up above them now.
Yeah, this is a game of ring around the rosy. I was watching on the map here. You got Stick Drift, you got Skyline, you also have Trident Boys, who have been running in circles around Landslide and staging. Stick Drift with Hunter is having to heal now, that 30-30 that we talked about, putting down shots. And if they go too far north here, they're gonna run into another team coming in and holding Landslide. You gotta be careful here. You gotta wrap around this corner with full health, because if one gets dropped, now they're putting down shots. Hunter has found the other team, and that's gonna be Trident Boys. So very tough position for Stick Drift to be in. You gotta choose a way to go, and you gotta full commit to it.
Yeah, especially with Zone now moving again. This is Ring 2 that's just started closing. Look at the damage that it does to the health bars here. There is no safe escape for them in this situation. Looking to possibly place a redeploy down, opting not to just yet. I mean, you got to do it soon if you're going to do it. Heading towards the underground by the vault right there, that Season 1 vault, as I like to refer to it. Yeah, I'm saving something for what I was going to save this anyways for when we got into the night mode. The night on this map, that's not called Train, it's called Pain. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's not Landslide.
This is our last map of this normal World's Edge, the map, if you will. We're switching into the After Dark after this. But before that, we still have Pink Saints with the Digi. You got 2 Digis in this Bang Smoke. That is just absolutely brutal for anyone that's going to try and contest into there. And it's not Digi Day, but anytime that you find it, you're going to have to couple this with the Bangalore and give you that advantage.
Yeah, let me tell you, when ALGS put the Digi threat in the crafter, that's when TSM won. I don't know if you paid attention to that.
I don't know
that
if
was
TSM
the
lost
game.
or won or Dojo lost. That depends on who you
Yeah,
ask.
depends on who you want to look at, but you're correct. As soon as that went into the crafter, that was the big game changer for TSM. That was when they finally said, you know what? Now we're going to fight. Now we're going to draw blood. And they did. And speaking of drawing blood, Bink's sake, putting in massive shots with that Hemlock Kraken from Bink's sake. My apologies. Just saying, get away from my house. They don't want anybody on their front lawn.
Yeah, we see the circle's going to be pulling. Kind of half of it's going to be out of bounds on the north side of launch site. So if, who was that? Trident Boys that's been holding it down this entire time. If they can stay in and keep that building that they've had, they're going to be in a really solid spot.
This is a very, very risky redeploy here. As you can see on the map, there is 2 teams holding your typical landing zones. They're going to have to try and fly a little further. This is not going to be very friendly for Skyline if they don't see where they're going. Wow. That was significantly safer than I anticipated with the teams that were in this area.
I mean, they're doing enough so far. They're going to have to heal up before they push into anything. But again, that Catalyst with that Dark Veil may end up being what saves them. 15 teams left, 30 seconds left in Zone 3 before we start to push in. And Skyline with that double gold shield, most people will elect to go with a purple Evo instead of the gold armor. But when you have a Bang and a Horizon and you're getting in so many fights, I would kind of lean for the gold armor as well with that extra heal from the cells and syringes.
Especially if you haven't had the opportunity to get near a crafter, you just haven't found very many bats on your side of things. It's like, you know what? Let's double. It's basically doubling the effectiveness of the heals you have. And by it, basically, I mean literally doubling the effectiveness of your shield cells in that situation, getting you those 2 bars back instead of just the 1. And yeah, if you're getting in a lot of scraps, maybe you'll have the opportunity to pick up somebody else's purple armor or somebody else's red armor in that later game when you're just not in the situation to be able to level it up yourself, because you have to keep healing because you have to keep fighting.
The OKC Chargers here, we're now on board with them, and they found a team. I believe that's going to be Smiley that they're peeking at, and I was wrong earlier. It's Smiley that's held their building the entire time. No one has really tried to contest for them, and now they have 3 teams south of them in launch site. 4 teams, rather, that they're going to have to fight off. We'll get back to that later as Regiment, our winners from round number 1, is all up and alive. They see some teams out across the open field that have to make a rotate in this next circle. As Zone 4 is going to populate, Regiment now knows that they have to make a move. It's not worth holding. Let's take this platform for now and get eyes on what could be available as they're going to get contested.
That's a huge risky zipline coming up in that kind of regard. I don't think they knew what was ahead of them. Regiment just getting fed KP right there. I mean, I don't even know. Oh no, that getting blocked by the railing right there. Your fuse does not go through that as Regiment healed all the way back up to full health now, putting more shots down on that south side, north side, and that is the power of Bangalore smoke right there. We see the Kraber in the hands of Castlelos. Yet again, he had that in the first game as well. The game number 2 as well, but just picking up more. Oh my goodness. Oh no, not again. Castlelos just getting the fuse dream one more time. Did you see that? The Arcstar got picked up by the grav lift.
Yeah, the grav lift and the launch pad of Octane can bounce up grenades and projectiles, and it all got taken down in the kill feed eventually. And that just goes to show you, really circling back to that, how Apex's game of seconds. If Regiment would have waited a second and a half or 2 seconds to make that rotation, they wouldn't have been up there, and we would have had a completely different story. Alt would have been the ones that won that team fight, but they got there just too late. So the EGL being able to make that call and swing on up there as Intensity gets taken down, and Skyline with that double gold still. Now they have a free Watson Jet. They get some free heals. Thank you, Intensity.
And not just the free heals, the safety. We keep talking about how strong Fuse is in this meta right now. When you have that Watson pylon at your back, you don't have to worry about it as much. So incredible pickup for their incredible location pickup for them there as Regiment forces their way onto this floor, literally through fire and flames to get up here into the safety, not just of this zone, but of the next as well. They probably don't know that yet, as this is going to finish closing on them. They're just checking the boxes the last couple seconds here. Very, very healthy, not just in terms of actual health, but in terms of ammo and guns, as they decide to force the hand up top. Not sure about that decision. They're not so healthy anymore.
Yeah, we got an Arc Star on Casello swinging its way down. We're going to get Crummy's Black Veil, or Dark Veil rather, not called inside, almost did. Safari Legion gets taken down to kill feed while that's going on. And Smiley with their first little bit of contest. We have two teams in the area. Smiley's going to be putting down shots on ITK as they're swinging in from the south side here. And then you also have CRG on the east side of the building who have not pushed in yet. No knocks coming in from either of them. And for the first time in this game, we had to wait till Zone 5 for Smiley to have to rotate and to get congestion.
Yeah, that's just a genius situation for them all the way through as they are continuing to put these shots down. CRG, you're just waiting it out. They're obviously going to know all of the gunfire that's going on next to them, possibly peeking in to get a bit of damage right here. Cruisin thinks he hears someone, doesn't see them just yet, as, oh, he's in a bad situation, not even for CRG, but just in general, a lot of bullets coming across absolutely everybody. ITK seems to be on all sides of this fight, because I keep looking at the minimap and CRG is just not involved.
Yeah, CRG's waiting. They're watching the kill feed, waiting to see who gets knocked, and they're actually coming in off that east side. They opened up the door, and ITK is going to swing in with the black hole. CRG's coming in, and Smiley in a bad spot, getting pinched from both sides. No knocks are coming in yet, but shields are getting broken left and right. ITK pushing in. You got the Digi, you got the Bang Smoke. Smiley slipped through the crack, and you got a new team coming in off the right side. ITK, Nishan gets dropped, Pickle gets dropped, and Nox is the last alive, with CRG getting dropped now as well.
Yeah, CRG waited just a little too long, opted to actually go through the building instead of around the outside, found themselves standing in zone due to the XS delay. ITK gone, Smiley gone as well. No surprise out of any of that. Binks Sake now trying to get a fight into this truck area where we've had a team sitting in the middle of zone for the last 5 minutes. Binks Sake finding themselves in the sight lines of absolutely everybody. You keep seeing different scans coming across their screens as they are repeatedly seen by drones, by scans, by mortar flares. There's another team on the low ground as they drop the Rolling Thunder. Just a little bit of cover behind this rock. Is it going to be enough for them to stay safe? I have no idea, as again, they force this fight down the hill even harder. Kraken ticking, burning, and he's gone down. Gwen for you, gone. Rapid, last one alive on the side of Big Sake, trying to pop this battery. This is the smallest boulder to hide behind, and he manages to get it off and immediately loses half of the shield again. Big Sake absolutely holding on for dear life as those knock shields come in to provide a little extra protection.
Yeah, Bing Six was able to clean up the mess on the end of that Zone 5 rotation, but it's not looking as good for them right now. Even if you get this, you're going to have the third party from the van come up. Rapid trying his best, does not work. Stick Drip gets the final kill there. Hunter's going to have a chance to heal up. Arzula maybe gets the res here. I don't know if anyone's going to be pushing him yet, but the zone is coming in. We are in our final ring. 5 teams left. A full reset for Stick Drip to try and get something to happen. And we still have a rat hanging around from Tenix that's still alive. Skyline V2 finally end up getting dropped, and Regiment is back in business.
Not just back in business picking up Skyline, but back in business on the power spot of the high ground. Kraber in hand. Red shield, gold shield. They have got to be happy as a crab in saltwater right now. Just gonna be able to farm this up as those two low ground teams are gonna fight around this truck. And you guessed it, The fuse cue hits everybody and everything that existed in there. There was no Watson pylon despite all of the fences. Gonna drop the mortar flare over the top. They're gonna get to see everyone. Tons of damage across the outside. Looking for the no-scope, not able to hit it, lift it up. Can't get the PK deep enough to get this knock either. But I mean, Regiment doing work, all kinds of knocks all across the feed, and none of them on their team. Victory squads up. Castello, sorry, first one to go down. Swiftness back on the high ground. Stick drift is gone. This has got to be a high ground cleanup. Oh, maybe not as Crummy goes down. Swiftness, you got a lot of HP left, but you're the only one on your team. Can you punch this out from up top? You're shooting flesh. Nobody's got armor. They got some swaps off of the Regiment teammates here. However, Swiftness doesn't have that wall to play behind anymore, but still pulls out the win.
Regiment finds a way to pull it off. And to be honest with you there, I thought they were going to end up dropping that with when Casellos comes flying in over the top. You got your fuse dive bombing into all of that madness. A Watson gen finally goes up inside of the van to stop the knuckle clusters, but it was just a little bit too late. And Casellos was finally able to pop the knuckle clusters, get enough madness involved. Swiftness, that was crazy. The high ground there, the positioning ends up getting the job done.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it was, right? That was what we talked about in game number 1 when they had it, and again at the very end of this game. If they're given that high ground in the final areas, that last access closing, they're just sweeping people. Again, 14 kills and a first place on their part. Beers and Beans, we hadn't really heard anything from them until the end of this. Only 1 kill on their side. 9 for Stick Drift and our other major kill team. I'm trying to find you, Smiley. Only picking up 2 this time around because, like you said, nobody contested them in their building. But you got to give it to that high ground return. Again, that Horizon Q being what allowed Regiment to get back up there, hold that in the 1v2 situation. And I'm pretty sure Beers and Beans, I'm pretty sure one of them died to zone.
Well, no, Beers and Beans was the team that was inside the van in the middle of the map. So they were able to hold down the fort the entire time. When Stick Drift was going at it with Bink's sake, I was expecting Beers and Beans to slide down the
Mhm.
hill or at least peek that after it was all said and done. But you have the Watson, you have the Catalyst. You don't really need to swing on out. I would have liked to see some KP come in there. Yeah, 1 kill. You were able to get the last one there, or one of the last 3 on Regiment. Would have been nice to get a little bit more. But hey, second place is nothing to complain about. So,
No.
folks, we are now done with 3 regular World's Edge. We're going to switch into 3 dark or World's Edge after dark here in a little bit.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's take a quick look at our total overall leaderboard as we have Regiment sitting at a score of 54 in first place, followed by Smiley in second place, who is a full 20 points behind at 34 points. And it's relatively tight between them and our third place of Allied. And down the ladder we go from there. Absolutely insane gameplay by Regiment thus far. A 20-point lead after 3 games is absurd.
I mean, that's what happens when you win 2 of 3, right? That's that's just natural. I love to see that happen.
Yeah, without question. So we're going to take a short intermission, just a 5 minute, or sorry, 3 minute break. My apologies, just a 3 minute break. So we'll be right back after. Yeah, I think it's going to be a message from our sponsor.
So on the bright side, I was right about us staying on the World's Edge for 3 more maps. You know, I didn't lie to you, but we're not going after dark. We're staying in the normal World's Edge. And is Regiment gonna win the next 2? Are they gonna come out with 4 out of the total 6? Or are we gonna see a new name come up in that champion squad? Skids alongside my man Oshi back at it again for 3 more maps of World's Edge.
Yeah, in terms of what we've been seeing with Regiment, if the zone pulls south, I mean, they're 2 for 3, right? We've had 2 zone pulls go south. They won both those games. One went north. They lost that one relative, or actually, they lost a huge fight and ratted their way out a little bit. But I mean, it seems to be that rotating is their strong point, right? They are the most comfortable when they aren't holding a single location for the entirety of the game, when they get to keep moving, keep putting pressure. So really, that seems to be where their IGL is kind of in their comfort zone, is when they're pushing fights and being a little more aggressive. So interesting to see if we have something similar come this time around compared to the last ones. But on the other note of not going to the after dark, you're correct. It is quite literally the bright side.
Yeah, that is the way to look at it. We have the World's Edge map loading up here. And in terms of contests, well, as far as I know, we're still going to have Funky Town and we're still going to have Trident Boys in that launch site contest. We saw in round number 3, we saw Smiley crash in from Siphon right off the bat. We saw
Mhm.
Safari Legion crash in from Tree. As soon as the zone pulled south, teams are more aggressive to come in and get that third party. But if the zone pulls north, I don't think we're going to see any thirds. Maybe the team that lands dome is going to come on in and try and get some easy picks. But so far, this launch site has gone 3-0 in the direction of Trident Boys for the contest.
Yeah, and that kind of makes you wonder if Funky Town might change it up, because I drew attention to it last game. Geyser was not landed on. Any game so far, Geyser has been completely open as a POI. And if you actually take a look at how CRG lands, they spread themselves out over No Name and Overlook all the way around the whole thing. And again, Geyser untouched one more time. So it looks like we are going to be getting this contest one more time. So possibly 4th time is the charm. We'll find out as Trident Boys coming in with the exact same squad, looking like the same landing zones. Not sure if they're going to get the loot luck, though.
Yeah, so we have, again, Flix on this Fuse. He likes to play outside, and we saw Flix on a different platform than the other 2 teammates, then VRiz and then Verotech, because of this long-range knuckle cluster, and if you have a little bit longer range of an AR, you're going to be able to get something, and we didn't even... What? Okay, anyway, there's a contest that went down at Mod, and Tenix got knocked within the first 15 seconds of the match. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Map 4 of World's Edge.
We're getting something real this time around. We thought that we had the contest on lock for you to be able to watch, and I'm sure both the teams involved in it would think that they had the contest on lock as well, but at the very least, neither of them are going to go last in this game. Unfortunate. I mean, we'd seen a lot come out of 10X there, TNX, if you will. And this time we don't get to see anything come out of them as Trident Boys looking to push up the hill. They want to be the aggressors this time. I believe it's always been the other way. They've always been the ones to sit back and let Funky Town come to them.
No, I'm on the board of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But when the zone's pulling south like this, you want to be able to clear them out so you have time to scan that beacon and get the intel for the zone. But now you're all underneath here and you haven't had a chance to push on up. You got a player on that left-hand side. You have a player on the right-hand side. Are you going to make a move with the Horizon? It looks like they are, but Flix gets real low on health, and Boney Tony gets dropped in the first blood of this fight. Member gets dropped down as well, and Funky Town, they were so close to
a T. They said, hey, this guy's right above me. Get a shot on him. As soon as 2 bullets went down, up, and that was the knock. Speaking of Control Ghost, going down to You Smell Steven. As Big Mod gets contested here by 3 silly men. They're pushing in for this fight. This is where we saw TNX go down right off the bat. 3 silly men said, hey, you know what, we want some.
Silly Men is pushing in towards Mod. Maybe they'll get those guns. They got the trade there. No, Meep and Frickers taking each other out. And you smell Steven's going to try and get the res here. He's leaving his Catalyst out to win the 1v1. Rondon is looking to get a pick there, hopping back on board with Smiley. They're getting a fight here, and there's actually 3 teams now in a launch site.
Did he stick him? No, he didn't. Trident Boy's gone. However, Smiley also getting a knock right there. V-Riz picking one up after the grave, hilariously, as they're going to get that res off nice and safe. 3 silly men still trying to find a fight here, but I don't think anybody's left to fight them.
They actually have 2 players that look to be floating around here in Big Mod still. I believe one of not their teammate, but they do have a kill on the team here. That's gonna be, I forget who it was that was over here, but Meep was the one whose box got dropped.
Yeah, it's Frickers and Co. is the team. I can't remember what the team name is either at the moment, but they are the ones running around as Alt, actually, is only Q-Magin left.
That's what it was, Alt, that
Yeah,
was able to wiggle out and unable to get Meep's banner or control Ghost banner. But we saw a Fuse Rat in game number 2, was able to get some KP, and Castellos was able to grab a top 5 finish for his squad. So there could be worse legends.
It certainly is, but I mean, we saw that with a whole lot of aggression, and that's going to be difficult to mirror with where this zone looks like it's probably pulling to. I would not be too shocked to see this go more towards Lava Siphon in the next ring closing, as ITK looking to force the hand onto this second floor here with some grenades, with that black hole, which does nothing. Rolling Thunder's not going to be any use in here either, so Noxtria is just going to kind of have to sit on that as they just full send it as a 2-man onto the second floor and win the fight against Safari Legion.
Safari Legion came in on that contest to launch site last game, but ITK brings the contest to them this time. Coming all the way down from staging and most likely flying all the way in from that balloon to win Tree. So you got a little bit of time here to grab some loot, grab some heals, and post up in a good spot in zone as we hop on over to Sixwit, who's taking a fight here outside of staging. I believe it might be Intensity that they're going up against.
Yeah, hard to tell at this moment, but a whole lot of locked down areas as that R9 does huge work. And then the Hemlock comes out to finish it off. Storm with a great kill pick up there. And I mean, look at them. Stick Drift wants more. They're not going to zone. They are hunting at the moment. They do not care about this red wall coming at them. They want the KP. They understand that they can still place. They have no concerns about that, but they want to make sure that their backs are covered once they do get into zone.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more teams go down early in this first zone. It could be for a couple of reasons. One, teams are getting more comfortable with who's coming through and what gunfights that they want to take. But also, after 3 games, if you don't have much KP, you don't have great placements, you want to try and get some momentum. It doesn't take a full 50-50 contest right off drop, but if you can get something on this first set of rotates, grab that first KP, get the plus flowing in your system, and build up that confidence and keep rolling into the end zones, that's what teams are looking for, as we got 2 or 3 teams that are still hanging around outside of zone, or inside the storm rather, and this fight going down in the fragment.
Yeah, we just saw once again a great example of the strength of having Fuse on your team. Crummy had a great little piece of high ground there, and all it took was one knuckle cluster to force him down, because it's a lot of damage you don't want to stand in when you don't really have anywhere else to go. So had to drop back down to the low ground and ultimately force Regiment to rotate on the immediate. You know, it was kind of saying, hey, we don't have the pressure that we wanted to have in this location, so let's move on. However, that is also what we defined as one of the strengths of Regiment as they continue this southward push. And it looks like I was incorrect about the zone. It is not pulling the Lava Siphon at all. This is going right down on top of launch site.
Yeah, that's going to be 3 of 4 zones that favor this south quadrant, and even more so into launch site now, as Alt has found a way into the rat spot just here outside of Dome. He's gonna have to move in this one, but we love to see a little rat cam action. Making his way into that top 10 is all he can hope for. We're gonna follow along with this storyline as it develops here. throughout Alt's journey in this game.
I mean, take a look. Take a look at where Zone is. Like he's not far from it. He's pretty close, but there's no one up there near him. All he has to do is find the next little piece of rock. Look, he can go into that small dome and he'll be okay. But I love the spot he's in right now because he's got a little roof over his head and everything. So it's just kind of like
Dome.
it's just
No,
great.
nobody's in dome. You got one team that's cutting in through that tunnel in stacks, and so maybe swings on over into dome if he realizes that Majin realizes that it's safe later on. But
Yeah.
well, we'll follow along. We'll keep you guys posted on that rat camp progress as Smiley is posted up here and launch site. But not in the north building. Now they're in the southernmost building. You got Skyline that's swinging in across Harvester through Thermal and trying to make their way into Tree. Tree still got a little bit left in it. You still got Noxtress and Co. that had their building for ITK in Tree. They haven't left yet. And if you're in Tree, going to make your way south into that cut, do you go now or do you wait till next zone reveals itself to see if it's even worth it?
Yeah, that's a real big question, and quite frankly, I'm sure they don't even know at this point themselves, right? They're going to have to get there and find out how contested everything is, as all of these teams just kind of reconciling their positions, giving everybody the little holes that they can, as that is a very, very aggressive MOBA queue that put you in a terrible position. PGI, Demon King just wiped, PGI Peace just wiped, Victory Hand as a whole. I don't think they fired a single bullet back. They had no idea what they were just walking into right there. As Rondon streams with this gold longbow in his hands, is having the time of his life. 3 silly men picking up the loot. Qmajin still safe, still alive, still looking creepy when you get that camera inside his face. Don't do that, Crow.
Hey, we got a little rat cam update. Is Major still found a spot in this next zone, and he's gonna be excited to see that zone 3 is still gonna be favorable. So this is the rat cam. The rat is staying alive for at least another zone, I'm thinking. And even this pull, this is gonna be a dangerous pull for everyone else besides Majin.
Yeah, the fact that zone pulled to him. I mean, I'm rooting for a top 5, if not a top 3. If he can manage that, because again, he's Fuse, right? If he gets one of those situations that we've seen Regiment manage a few times, that would be phenomenal. As Skyline tries to force their way into this building here, dropping that black hole into the top floor. Great little play to try and force everybody down the stairs into the rest of the Skyline team, who were waiting with kind of a firing line set up. They pick up some cracks, but get cracked as well as the grenades start to come out down the stairs. A little bit of a reset.
Yeah, the black hole came in. I thought some more carnage was going to ensue. There's actually a third team that's going to be coming up in here. You got Skyline, you got RTK, or ITK rather, and I believe there's a third one that I can't tell who it is quite yet. Skyline, Vert's going to get dropped. ITK is all still up and alive in this upstairs corridor. Some shots going in from the top, and Stick Drift, that's going to be who this team is. You still have the Rolling Thunder from the Bangalore if you need it, but that's not going to play in for another 20 or 30 seconds. That's if you can stay alive. The reinforced door coming in from the Catalyst, proving why she is in the meadow right now.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal timing on getting that reinforcement up, saving the team. You saw that it was flesh bullets being fired as Stick Drift tried for that ballsy res, but had to drop it off because Z-Storm unable to keep the pressure up top any longer, as Hunter manages to pick up a knock and kill. That's going to be a shield swap for them, as well as Zone comes in, just kind of sealing everybody's fate here as they all have to start pushing. Not only is this going to finish anybody who's knocked off, it's going to give priority to people who had started the rotation early. You can see Z-Storm barely alive, taking tons of takes from that. But the worst thing of fighting in the zone as it's closing on you is everybody who's already in zone is going to know exactly where you are. Z-Storm going down, ultimately getting taken out by Regiment from the long distance shots, as well as XL Hunter going to be able to get this bat off. But you can see quite cornered. I mean, you can't get that res. You don't have the HP. It's gonna tick out your other teammate as well. You can probably get that banner, but I don't know if you're getting a res, because if you check out that mini-map, there is a crypto drone sitting out the back there that is Beans and Beers who have that on their side, who are just waiting as our boy Qmajin safe again.
update on this rat cam. It looks like there's a spot just off a little bit more north, maybe off west in that little cliff. He can find a spot. But going back to that fight there, it was actually Noxtress and ITK that was able to grab that exit pick, and that was the tunnel that we talked about for between tree and launch site, where you were able to grab an exit and you didn't have to push too far in. Now we have a fight going in with Bink's Sake staying alive. No, they get dropped by three silly men rather, and the res coming in. And you smell Steven into Frickers.
Yeah, and that was a gold knock res as well, by the way. So Fricker's coming back half HP already. You love having that on your side when you're picking fights like these three silly men have been. The most important thing I want to draw attention to, though, is in the midst of all of that, Regiment was eliminated entirely from this game. So that is just barely a top 10. I actually think they came in 10th right there. So the worst finishing that we've seen from them as of yet. We'll see how they did for KP. As if you look at your screen, we had Q Majin in the south, but we also have XL Hunter in the north, our two solo teams left alive, as we are going to have a lot of fights very, very soon, because Smiley and Beers and Beans are literally on top of each other and don't know it.
Oh my goodness, Majin's gonna get landed on here from this 3-stack, and he's probably gonna go down here as ITK with the wall, with the reinforced door, squeezing the res. It may be able to get pulled off. Noxtress may be able to wiggle his way out, but no, coming in from the outside, they're able to wiggle on out, and Nishan gets dropped. Jasmine gets dropped. CRG is taking some hits here. We've got Smiley that's posted up inside the building. We've got three teams coming in on that west side that are fighting down. OKC Chargers still alive, but barely. If Winks can get inside, he's not going to be able to put too many of these nades, and I think there's a Watson Gen. Gotta put the grenades in the front side if you want him to do anything, and now just deciding to dip out.
Winks did everything that she could in that entire fight, and ultimately, I mean, you gotta run and hide, and not even able to do that. That is the entirety of OKC going down. Unfortunately, our first Rat Q Majin did go down. Here's Smiley finally figuring out that there's a team underneath them. They're gonna push this as soon as they see it. Quick knocks, everybody gone. Beers and Beans did not stand a chance. That was an absolute tornado. Smiley showing that they do in fact have teeth. This is not a little grin, but a full face smile, just absolutely wiping them clean, as XL Hunter, our last rat of the match, is still in it.
Yeah, Smiley has been the kings of launch site so far in the last couple of rounds. Got the quick wipe there, but I spoke too soon. Maybe a bit of caster curse, and they're gonna get contested up around the end. I think they got one knock. I think Tempest was able to grab one. The Rolling Thunder's gonna come in. That's gonna force them inside. Greeted with an Arch Star and an empty car. Not gonna be enough as Tempest gets dropped. Three silly men lose Frickers, but they win the battle and have so much KP. I think I saw at least 12 in this. Cleared out the building, but not enough. And a 2v3 is gonna ensue with a possible ending here. And I think they got a rest. I think there was a respawn from the rat. Now Hunter is not by himself.
There was actually Storm manages to come back, so XL Hunter did brave the Storm to pick up Storm and get the res off here. So we do have Stick Drift as a duo. I mean, this is no longer simply a rat. This is Master Splinter, who has brought back Raphael to put some damage down on his side. And they are trying to force their way into this building. Look at the zone. Where is it going to go is what makes all of the difference here as we get into the last zone. Three teams left. Southern Draw, three silly men, both still in it, as well as three silly men get the respawn off too. But can they get some loot onto him?
2v2 v3, now a 2v3 v3 as three silly men able to get Frickers back. Southern Draw a full squad, and the rat turned duo Hunter brings back Storm for Stick Drift, coming into the final zone that's gonna close on the platform just outside of launch site. Storm still with a napkin, but sometimes a body shield is all that you need. You got a Watson and a Catalyst inside this building for Southern Draw, but no gen for the Watson available at this time. And
No, but the
Kelford is looking left and right, trying to get it.
no gen available is correct, but that side door, I didn't realize that was there when I was looking at the minimap. I was about to say that they are in a tough position of having to pick an exit, but it actually gives them the only inside place to be playing as they continue to put pressure on the outside. They want to keep that upper area as clear as they can, force the other two teams to play underneath, fight one another, and then be able to drop in for the third party. Southern Draw so safe up here at the moment. The little prep of these Watson fences as well. I mean, they have so much area denial between the legends that they have here that I do not expect anybody to be able to get up to them. They know their sides are safe now that the zone has closed in around those areas. I mean, it's a 3v3v2, but it needs to be a 5v3 if the other two teams want anything other than second place.
Be careful here, because Stick Drift does have that horizon that may play a part unless Southern Draw puts down the shots. It's all going to come down to how much Southern Draw can hold. Three Silly Men doesn't want to push quite yet. They do have a horizon in case they want to jump up. Now the shots are coming in. Three Silly Men versus Stick Drift is going to be this first set of battles here. Brickers putting in the last cell, and now Hunter and Storm are going to have to peek because they had the cover above that they wanted to play off of, trying to get that evac tower up to get a little bit of help for the vertical lift as well. The black hole from Houston Steven is in the pocket, and now it's time to pounce.
Southern Draw sitting on this high. They know everybody's there. They know that they want to be able to use that lift. As Stick Drift come peeking around the side, they don't even want to play for first. They're trying to pick up some KP. Storm goes down. Hunter still barely alive at the edge of zone. Does also go down. That is Stick Drift in third place. Three Silly Men did actually lose one, and now they have no way to get back up top. Right into the fences, into the firing range of Southern Draw, picking up that win of game number 4 with perfect positioning on their side.
We talked about how that was Southern Draw's game to lose, but they found a way to play patient, to play smart, let the other two teams on low ground pick each other off. That Watson is the best legend that you can have in that situation, because you pop the fences on any climbing point, whether it be the crates, whether it be that evac tower. To be honest, I was a little surprised that Stick Drift and Southern Draw both nobody used their Horizon gravity lift to get up into that area. They both had horizons, but both playing the low ground waited, and maybe just a bit too long to where they were fighting for second place.
Yeah, it was one of those situations that everybody finds themselves in at some point when you play Apex Legends. If there's 3 teams left, you don't want to be the first ones in the fight, right? You want to be that third team coming in trying to clean up. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option for either of the teams that were on the low ground. And Stick Drift, I really kind of seemed to realize that. And they said, forget it. We're going to engage. We're going to take the second or third, whatever the gods happen to give us, and maybe pick up some KP. And I do believe they managed to pick up one extra KP there. But the big story
17?
here, exactly, is 17 kills over onto 3 Silly Men.
Oh my goodness. And the fact that they were able to get that last respawn at the end, I mean, it
Mhm.
didn't really do a whole lot for them in the grand scheme of things, except for that morale, but that did help them win that last 2v2, right? Where they picked up 2 extra KP there. 17 for 3 Silly Men, 8 for Stick Drift, 7 for Smiley, and Beers and Beans yet again playing that slow roll, not picking up any KP in that one, but the 5th place is going to get them some placement points. But Oshi, at what point do you want to start playing aggressive in these last 2 games?
Let me tell you, if Beers and Beans wants to bring up anything, they got to start doing it now. They're sitting way down in 10th place after this last game at 21 points. And our overall scoreboard at the moment is just, it's a whole different story compared to where we started this game, because Regiment went out so early and with so little KP. They're only at 59 points, 30 kills. Smiley up at 46 now. They closed that gap by over half in that last game.
It's Southern Draw went from 2 seconds, 2 second places in the first and second game and they finally were able to close out a win in game number 4. So now you go second into a first. Will they be able to keep it going into games 5 and 6? We'll let you know. We're going to take a short intermission, go back into the lobby. Can Southern Draw keep this momentum going?